This is Muffled Mumbles ASMR, and welcome back to my channel. So, I hope you are all doing well, and in today's video, I thought I would go ahead and teach you guys about some of the different types of energy we have here on Earth. I start back work next week, and then the kids come back the week after that. So, in the spirit of things, I thought I would do another educational type video, even though most of you probably already know this stuff, or it's okay if you don't though. I'm not trying to say you should, but most of you probably know this stuff anyway, so hopefully it's just more of a chance to relax. So please like this video and subscribe if you like what you see. But I'm gonna go ahead and start. Alright, we're gonna start with the first type of energy we'll be discussing today. What do I want to start you guys out with? I'll start you guys out with light energy. Light energy. Alright. Before I give some examples of things that give off light energy, I'll let you think of some first. So go ahead. Think what objects might give off light energy. Alright, I'm gonna go with an obvious one. It's in the name. Light bulb. Light bulb, right? It gives off light. Another thing. Fire. Fire gives off light. Another thing that gives off light energy. Is the sun. The sun. That's our main source of light energy. Another is a flashlight. So obviously, light's in the name. You know it gives off some sort of light energy. Alright, and I'll do one more. Firework. A firework gives off light energy. And excuse my handwriting. Alright, so for light energy we have light bulb, fire, the sun, flashlight, and firework. Alright, the next type of energy we'll do is thermal. Thermal, also known as heat energy. Thermal heat energy. Alright, I'll let you go ahead and try to think of some objects that give off thermal energy, or heat. If you're struggling to think of some, a lot of the light energy producers also give off heat or thermal energy. So a good one is also the sun. fire, right? Both of those things give off light energy and thermal energy. So do flashlights and light bulbs, even though it's not as much. If you leave on a light bulb or a flashlight long enough, if you put your finger on it after a while, you will feel the heat. You will feel the heat. Another obvious thermal heat producer is an oven. An oven. Another could be a microwave. Both of those things you cook with by adding heat to the food. Heat, thermal energy. Alright, the next one we can do, we'll do sound energy. Alright, so sound energy, go ahead. Think of objects that might produce sound energy. I would say this one might be easier than light energy. Just think of anything that makes a sound and that produces sound energy. So a good example I like to give the kids is us. When we talk, when we breathe, when we snore, all of that is producing sound energy. And then when I tell them that, then they just start making random noises just to be annoying, so then I have to shut it down pretty quickly, but it helps them understand it pretty easily. Another is an alarm, a horn, a radio. I'm trying to think what else produces sound energy. So many things. It's like one of those things sometimes where it's like there's so many things that just trying to think of it's too much. I can use firework again, because when a firework finally explodes, it makes a loud sound, so that gives off sound energy. So I think so far, firework, I would say, could probably count for all three of these, right? Because you got the light from when it explodes, the thermal, the heat from the fire, from it exploding, and then it also produces a sound. And then microwave also produces light whenever it's on, and then also produces sound. Well, usually it does, at least mine does. So a lot of these things produce more than one type of energy. Alright, moving on. The next energy we can do will be, let's see, electrical energy. I don't know what that was. Alright, so electrical energy. Go ahead, think of something that produces electrical energy. Okay. So, I will warn you, like I tell the kids, not something that uses electrical energy. Meaning, it can't be something that's plugged in, right? Because that's not producing, well, some things produce it, but when something's plugged in, it's ticking energy from something else. So if you were gonna say like a toaster, that takes in electrical energy, so it's not something that produces electrical energy. It produces thermal or heat energy. At least the ones I'm thinking of. There might be ones that use electricity to cook the toast. I don't know. But a good example could be like lightning. Lightning. That is a good source of electrical energy. A good source of electrical energy. I'm trying to think what's another thing. Like a solar panel. Alright, quick question. If a solar panel gives off electrical energy, what type of energy does it take in? So if it produces electrical, what energy does it take in? And I'll give you a hint. It's on one of the other energies we've already discussed. Yeah, it takes in light energy, because solar means sun. So that light energy from the sun powers those panels up to get them to produce electrical energy. There you go. Same with like wind turbines. Like they use wind energy. Well, it's not called wind energy. We'll get to that one, but it uses movement to produce electrical energy. So we'll actually go to that one next. The next energy we have is called mechanical energy. And so, like I was talking about with wind turbines, mechanical energy deals with moving objects. So if it moves, it's giving off mechanical energy. So wind turbines. Another good example I like to tell the kids is a bicycle, because you can actively see the gears and all that moving. Bicycle. And basically, like most machines you can think of that use moving parts, use mechanical energy. Alright, and we'll do one more type of energy. And that is chemical energy. So chemical energy, try to go ahead and think what objects produce chemical energy. It's a tricky one. Alright, the easy example, or the best example would be a battery. So chemical energy basically deals with stored energy. So that's why batteries are like just a stable example, because it uses stored energy that just stays in it until it's attached to something else that takes the energy from it. So that's chemical energy. Alright, so these are our types of energies that we're talking about, right? So, as we've already discussed, a lot of these objects use more than one or produce more than one type of energy. So, I'm gonna ask you some questions and see if you can answer them to the best of your ability. It's okay if you're wrong. Alright, the first question. Name an object that uses electrical energy and produces light energy. So, go ahead, think of an object that takes in electrical energy. So, hint, plugged in probably, and produces light energy. Alright, I'm gonna go with lamp, right? Because lamps are usually plugged into a wall or some sort of outlet, and they produce light. You could have said TV. You could have said, there's so many things you could have said that I'm probably not going to say the one you've said because there's so many. You could have said, and of course now I'm blinking, lava lamp. I guess that's another lamp, but still, just anything that is plugged in and produces light. So, you could have said lightning. Well, yeah, you could have. Alright. Next one. Let's convert chemical energy to sound. What's an object that takes stored chemical energy and produces sound? And remember, chemical energy usually involves batteries. So what's something that uses batteries to produce sound? Yeah, you could have said like a radio, like a handheld radio. If it's plugged in though, it doesn't count. So make sure it's a battery operated radio. Another thing could be, those that was easy button, those buttons you can press. So battery operated buttons. So, and obviously just any other things you can think of. If an RC car is running on batteries and has like a horn feature to where you can honk, then there you go. Alright, we'll do one more question. What is an object that takes I want this one to be a good one. Don't want it to be too easy. Alright. An object that uses all of the energies that I'm about to write. Okay. It uses sound plus thermal plus light plus electrical. So what's an object that either uses all these, produces all these, or a mix of both? I'll give you some time to think. So an object that might use electricity, that gives off light and sound and heat. What could that be? Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you mine, like some sort of tablet. A tablet. Well, I guess technically a tablet could also use chemical energy too. It does, right? Because it has a battery, but it needs to be charged. So I'm talking if it's plugged in, you got your tablet plugged in, it is using, or it's producing sound if you got something playing, thermal energy, because it gets hot after running for a while, light energy, because the light coming from the screen, and electrical being plugged in, and then the chemical from the batteries. So there you go. And I'm sure you had some other things you could have set to, like a TV, and you know, there's tons of objects that just do multifunction things, like an alarm clock. I don't know how hot alarm clocks can get, but I bet there's some out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope if you didn't learn any new information, at least helped you relax and get some sleep. But let me know what you guys would like to see in the next video, and I will do my best to provide that for you guys. But until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Good night.